o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right, welcome in, everybody, and thanks for being with us on this 5 o'clock Patrick Johnson Show. Full hour today. We were going to have women's basketball, but that game got moved up to 2 p.m., and it was played this afternoon, and the Pirates got defeated. Philip, the ref, Pilkington, calling the game. I was out, illness, and Pilk ably body-filled in and slayed it, as he always does. But a game that was probably not as close as the final would indicate. A game that was exciting was last night when East Carolina won back-to-back road games in the conference with a win at Tulsa. And in the latter stages of the game, it sounded like this.
Felton over to the right. Gets it back from Hayes. Now to the left. Jan Farrell gives back. Felton, the three. Got it! RJ on net for the lead, and the Pirates are up 2 with 14 seconds to go.
Well, Tulsa would come back and tie it, but the Pirates would win in overtime. And what a thrilling win last night for East Carolina, who will now come back to take on South Florida. South Florida is in Charlotte tonight, so they'll be taking on the Niners, and I would assume be making their way via bus down here tomorrow to Greenville. Go ahead and get in town. May even stay in Charlotte another day. Who knows? But I don't think they're going to be doing the thing that East Carolina did where they will go back to Tampa tonight. Could be wrong, but I don't foresee them doing that tonight. Where the Pirates went out to Wichita Saturday, came back, and then went out Monday. Now, they came back today from what we understand. Is that right, Pilk?
Yeah, they got back. Well, I was able to call the game on the equipment for the network instead of our personal stuff here, our company stuff here. So Darren showed up about 1:25 or so, I think, to the arena. It's about the time the team got back.
Okay, good. So they made it back in one piece.
They did.
So, the roads, now the secondary roads, especially those that have not gotten any sun today, probably are not very good. Or have slick spots. But everything's going to freeze tonight after midnight or after sunset. And you're going to wind up with black ice in the morning. My guess is there will not be school tomorrow. At least it'll be highly delayed. I would think they'd probably go back maybe on a delay Friday would be my guess. It was cool, though, seeing my nephews and niece. They were very excited about the snow. I don't think they they've been in snow before, but I think they were too young. You know what? My nephew and niece may never have been. I don't know. The youngest nephew. The oldest nephew has probably seen snow, but he might be too young to remember it.
Were they able to make a snowman? Because here it was very powdery. It was easily the driest snow I'd ever seen on the East Coast.
Right.
And
right.
I was talking to Kellen before the game, and he was talking about how his kids were disappointed because they couldn't make snowmen because the snow wouldn't pack. And he was like, yep, sorry, it's not that kind of snow. And, it made it a lot easier. It was a heck of a lot easier. I mean, you brush it and it falls right off your car. It was nice. But where you're down there where you are, was there some more slush to the snow? Could you pack it tight down where you guys are at?
I don't know. I've not been out. I haven't been out today, so I can't say.
You said you saw the nieces and nephews in the snow. I mean, did
you I saw them on like the shared photo thing.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Like the family shared photo app thingamabobber. Not no. It looked like where they are, they only got like an inch. They're in the Sandhills, so they got very little. But I mean, for them, it might as well have been 2 feet. A lot of snow at the Outer Banks, obviously. But you're going to have the refreeze tonight, so that'll be the big issue tomorrow is the black ice coming. I would maybe even suggest. Now I know like down around Jacksonville, with some of the overpasses there that they've built in the last ever how many years, they shut a lot of those down in Jacksonville this morning because they obviously were freezing with the overpasses and the bridges, and so a lot of black ice packed down, that kind of thing. I would suggest that tomorrow is actually going to be worse than today was in a lot of spots because of the refreeze.
Yeah. And it'll be because, tonight last night it snowed, right? There's at least some inconsistency enough where your tires can maybe grip. Once it turns kind of to liquid, it's gonna all settle in the exact same plane. It's gonna be very smooth. No
it's going to be ice, and you can't drive on ice.
Yeah.
So, like we have said, a lot of these people can't drive when it's 70 and sunny around Greenville and beyond. So there's no way on earth they can drive in the snow, and certainly nobody can drive in the ice. So, well, let's get into the game a little bit last night. Before we do that, Pilk, I guess just kind of a recap of the women's game. They were down, 24 to Temple in that game?
At some point, it was something like that.
I just, with the women's basketball, you saw them today. I've called a couple of their games on TV and radio. I just think they have a lack of offensive, we'll say leadership, but just kind of the lead person on offense. They had that with McNeil, and she bailed out a lot of issues. I just don't know offensively if they're very cohesive.
No, so the tough thing today, so they were down 7 at half, and then Temple came out and made their first 5 3-point attempts in the second half. And this, to your point, Patrick, is not a team who can play from behind because of that lack of offensive cohesiveness. Now, they can score on the low block pretty well between Tatiana Weish and Amaya Joyner. The tough thing is teams know that, and there's not a lot of great jump shooters. Even, Danae last year even though she didn't jack up a lot of threes, she could hit the medium range jumper, and it's just not there right now. Yeah, she could do that as well. And what's happening is a lot of teams, even though they're packing the lane, they saw a lot of man today, hardly any zone, if any zone from Temple, but still with Weish and my down there was much of just denying the inbound the entry pass, and forcing East Carolina to take jump shots. And in the first half, they had 8 free throws made and 10 points in the paint. They had 18 points. They had not made a single point outside of the paint that didn't come from the charity stripe. Now, credit to them, they made 8 of 10 free throws, and when they got the ball to the low block, they were successful in either making their shots or making their free throws. The problem was they were denying the entry passes very well. They were trapping down low because they knew that kick out and 3 opportunity was not there.
Yeah. Last night, East Carolina, they trailed by double digits, didn't they, if I recall? And
I got to look it up. I think that's a 12.
It was a 12 or 14, one of the two, and they were down. And then with the great comeback, you heard the Darren's call of the RJ3, which put them up, and then Tulsa tied it. Goes to overtime, and then the Pirates were able to push it out. Second game in a row, they've hit the season high in 3-point shots, 11 of them, and that really makes up for a lot of ills when you got the 3-point shot going. This is Coach Swartz on the biggest factor into winning the game last night.
Toughness, that we talked about it, and I think we got out toughed in the first half, and we talked about that in the locker room, the paint game. And so we talked about some things, obviously schematically, and what we did differently in the second half. It looked different, but there was a physicality and a toughness about us in the second half, a resiliency to, I believe, create a 19-point swing at one point from down 12 to up 7. And then I give Tulsa came back, and they got on the offensive glass, and they made some shots, and they made their free throws. And you know what? We got down. And so that's the true test of toughness and resiliency, because we got down on the road. And when you get down on the road and you can make a big shot, make a big play, it's those guys' toughness. They kept believing. We said stay in the present moment, and then in overtime they stayed with that.
Coach Swartz, on the importance of rebounding in the game, cut 4.
Rebounding, I think anytime we can out-rebound our opponent, that's a good thing. It was a game where we knew we had to – you and I spoke before the game. I think this is a very good defensive team. And so we went to a different basically alignment on offense, and we played out of the post. And we played out of the post with RJ, with Jordan, with Cam Hayes at times, with C.J. Walker at times. So we played out of the post because they were doubling. And we thought that was the best way to put 2 on the ball. And if they didn't double, you saw what Jordan did and what RJ did a couple times and what those guys did. So we just, that's what we wanted to do. We mixed up I like what our zone defense did for us in the last 6-7 minutes of the game outside of some of the rebounding. CJ was in foul trouble tonight. He didn't have his typical game. But how about Reed Kaysen coming home to Oklahoma and playing a huge factor?
And last thing for Mike Swartz, he talked about the shooting and the Pirates' defensive effort at Tulsa in the win.
These guys work. I've said it. Trust every one of them. They understand. We got good shots tonight. They don't always all go in all the time. But you know what? A lot of them did go in. 11 of them, is that what it looked like?
Yep,
11 of them go in. And some really big ones late game also. But I'm going to tell you, what is bigger than us making 11 threes is holding this team to 24 attempts and only making 7. Our 41% from 3 is huge, obviously. But to come in here on the road and hold them to 29% and only 7 made threes is really a big deal.
Jordan Riley had a career-high 27. R.J. Felton, we played the R.J. highlight, finished with 24 and 8 rebounds. But it was Jordan Riley who had the career-high 27, and he talked about the team battling adversity, something that Coach Swartz noted.
Stay calm, keep our head up, you know. I mean, we've been in situations like this before. Plenty of games, we just stay calm, keep our head up, and keep pushing. You know, we're conditioned for chaos, we're ready to play, and we all got heart. Even though we came out a little soft in spurts of the game, myself included, we always keep our head up and just keep going.
And Jordan Riley talked about his career night.
I was just finding my spots, and my teammates was, you know, finding me. And the Barkley, which we pretty much input pretty much almost every day, it was pretty much working for me, working for RJ, and we just found our spots and just found, you know, the click to get going.
Pirates down 7 at halftime, outscored the Golden Hurricane 36-29 to the second half, and then outscored them in overtime 16-7 for the 85-76 win at the Reynolds Center, and that is another win against Tulsa. I think, is it 6 or 7 in a row now against the Golden Hurricane? Pirates have, I think it's 7 now in a row that ECU has won against Tulsa. So a program that had a lot of success against East Carolina in their earlier matchups when they were conference mates, but we see now that the Pirates, kind of like they have Wichita State's number out in Kansas, they have Tulsa's number right now, and that's always a good thing to see. All right, Pilk, anything else that has gone on? Big shout out to the one and only Dom Kasolki.
I think we're going to lose.
He put together the cut sheet. We appreciate that today. Dom being pressed into service today. We appreciate the young Howard Stern.
His eyes got big when he heard his own voice. He wasn't expecting it.
Well, he always that's our Dom drop.
I think we're going to lose.
That's how we recognize the one and only Dom Kasolki. Was Kasolki still there? What's he doing?
He's hanging out. He can I tell him? Yeah, Michael went and picked him up in the truck today. The roads were still pretty bad over by his apartment complex, so we picked him up in a 4-wheel drive truck instead of making him drive his 2-door sports car that he's got, you know.
Right.
Don't want to mess it up. So
he's waiting for you to take him back?
So I'm going to take him home.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you.
I'm going to chauffeur Dom around. Like we said, Dom's a high roller, man. That's why they do it in the film industry. Well,
Dom's a star. I didn't realize Dom was going to – boy, Dom's been there all day. Did you guys get food? Did they bring you all food today there in the at the Radio Ranch?
Well, Dom's shaking his head no at the Radio Ranch. I was at the arena. We got fed at the arena, man. We got some grilled chicken, some salad, cornbread. It was good. Yeah, shout out to Airmark.
They've done a nice job with the media meals. All right, let's hit a break. Tim Pernetti is the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference. We're going to talk with him coming up next. Talk about his first year in the conference. He just got back from Atlanta in the college football playoff. So we'll talk to Tim Pernetti, second time on the show for the commissioner of the AAC, when we come back here on the Patrick Johnson Show.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
If you want to kiss him or slap him. Ow! Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
The commissioner of the American is Tim Pernetti, back on the Patrick Johnson Show. Our first time talking to him in 2025. And the commissioner of the AAC joins us now. Tim, it's great to talk to you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, Patrick. Hope you're doing well all the same. Can't believe we're in 2025 already. I'm on like the home to my first year already. Amazing.
In this first year, what has been the biggest thing that you have learned about perhaps the American or the position itself that maybe you didn't expect when you took the job?
Mm-hmm. Well, the good news, it's funny. I just came from Atlanta. I was there for a weekend of meetings and then the game. And you bump into a lot of people. And everybody asked me the same thing, like big surprise, thing you didn't know. And, and honestly, there's not much to say because having worked in collegiate athletics, like on the media side, on the sponsorship side, on a campus, I think I had my eyes wide open coming in. And there's always something that jumps you in a new job, but it hasn't been a thing, so far. I think the thing is a little challenging is that when I learned the business when I was a young TV executive, there was a lot of commissioners that were around a long time. And while they were out there working on behalf of the betterment of their own entity, their own conference, everybody was very clear that moving the industry forward as a unit, more value for everyone. And, sometimes you get that vibe, but you don't get it all the time. And I think it has a lot to do with, a lot of the chaos going on around us, but no surprises. It was like a wedding without a honeymoon. I jumped right in. And the other thing I'd say is just great people. Like I just got off a call with our football coaches. We got 5 new football coaches in the league, and people make the difference. Like putting the money aside and who's going to invest what and how's this going to work and how much you're going to win. You got to have good people as the foundation, from the conference office through coaches to ADs to administrators. Like we have a lot of talent in this league.
There is continued celebration, and I would say rightfully so. ECU's bowl win over NC State. Those two will open next season in Raleigh against one another. Really good bowl season for the American, highlighted by the victory in the Military Bowl.
I saw my friends at ESPN. I worked with a lot of these folks at ESPN for a long time when I was in TV. And, hey, congrats on a great year. I'm like, where's the Bowl Challenge trophy? I'm like, I've been hearing about it. Where's the cup? I'm like, I thought there was an actual trophy, which is apparently is on its way.
Okay.
But we're excited, like to the Bowl Challenge Cup to be the winner of that at 6-2 in bowl season and have wins against the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, the Mountain West, Sun Belt, Conference USA, the only other teams with at least 3 10-win teams are the autonomy conferences. So, that coupled with you finish with 2 teams ranked in the top 25 with Army, our league champion, in Memphis. Navy had an incredible year. And you see it coming. Like, you see how Traylor North Texas played. You see what Blake did when he took over at East Carolina. Like, I showed up for that Thursday night game against FAU, and I said to John Gilbert, I was like, what happened? It was a team that was sort of like struggling to create consistency. And I think Blake brought a different approach in there, and I'm really excited. They have continuity there. But overall, it was a great year. We're going to have six coaches in their first full years at their schools next year, which is always an adventure. But when I look at who was hired, when you look at the guys down the line and what their experience is and where they came from, those are schools that made tough decisions. As you know, you have to eat buyouts when you fire coaches.
Yeah.
But they clearly are sending a statement like, this is not good enough. We're serious about success. And that really encourages me as the commissioner of the conference.
We're speaking to the commissioner of the AAC, Tim Pernetti, joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. So you were around in Atlanta for the CFP. What are the thoughts of the 12-team era beginning here in year one? How was it received?
The overall sentiment by the commissioners, ESPN, athletic directors that got to be part of the experience, coaches, is that it was just a win on all fronts. And, there's always going to be pundits to say, oh, the scores in the first round and, too many blowouts. And, what about the bye weeks? Who got the byes? And what about the matchups? But overall, as you look at the viewership, as you look at the narrative, the NFL experienced some drag in their viewership because of the CFP. I think that tells you everything that you need to know. And also, as a college football purist myself, because I had the opportunity to play, you love to see things getting settled on the football field. And that part of it, I think, was exceptionally important. But I think everybody feels like we had success. And at the same time, the commissioners are all on the same page that this worked on a lot of fronts, but let's make sure we're talking about change all the time. And in the future, I think that will be a constant conversation. Like, when you get something good going, the job is to make sure you put it on a path of constant evolution. But the vibe was really, really positive. And even Monday night's game, it looked like it was getting out of hand for a little bit. Then Notre Dame roared back. Even the finish was terrific.
Do you believe that they will address reseeding or how they handle the seeding and the buys differently?
When you say they, you mean we, right? All the commissioners?
Right, correct, yes.
Yeah. No, listen, I think it's hard to say because we only had a brief period of time together at the CFP because it's just such chaos. I had an AD's meeting, other commissioners did. So we only met for 90 minutes, and it was really a chance to review a lot of what we had done this year. And we had ESPN there as well, talk about the partnership and ratings and, trends and thinking about next year's windows. And then we met with, the board of managers who are the president. So we didn't have time, nor would we plan to get into all of that. But the encouraging thing is everybody, including conferences that benefit the most from the new format, everybody's ready to put everything on the table. And I think that's really encouraging. So, whether it's the buys or, the campus sites and trying to make sure we position those games on the right days with the right time slots and, thinking about the number of teams in the future and all that. Everybody's ready to discuss it. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything's going to change, but I'm really encouraged by an industry that doesn't talk about change enough. We have a group there that's talking about change, as we should.
Are there concerns across the league with non-conference football scheduling? That's been a big deal in Greenville and a big deal with East Carolina, particularly UNC and NC State not wanting to play, apparently, in non-conference games. Lawmakers were involved in this state to try to make something happen among Charlotte, East Carolina, and Appalachian State with North Carolina and NC State. But what are you finding for these schools, in places like Texas, Memphis, Florida, et cetera?
Well, the good news right now is we're not really feeling the impact of that. I think in the future, as other conferences continue to have discussions about what their own format is going to look like, right? Like the Big Ten moved to 9 conference games. The SEC hasn't done that yet, right? So when you don't do that, you obviously have a non-conference slate that you have to schedule. I think the best thing that we accomplished for ourselves that helps us in that conversation in the future was we beat up on some of those teams in the bowl season, right? So as you look at the American Conference, you're looking at a conference that I would say during the football season, like we had 4 teams in the conversation in November about where are they going to land. I think that's every commissioner's dream. You have that going on in November when things are really meaningful, okay? And then you have matchups that come across in the bowl games where you have an opportunity to really showcase the league and the strength. This was an unpredictable league. I think week 9, people had it all figured out. And then week 10, it was different. Week 11, it was different. And then, Army in their first year wins the conference championship. So it being unpredictable means we have a higher level of competition than I think most of what they say are our peers currently. But in the future, if more conference games get scheduled, that means there's less non-conference games to be had, and that'll become a challenge. But we've solidified ourselves in a way where conferences that are ready to schedule us know that they're scheduling quality games, and that's never been more important, the strength of schedule in focus.
With Army and Navy, there's been a lot of discussion about maybe, from pundits, to use a phrase that you referenced earlier, that maybe that game should be moved to a different week. Perhaps it should be a week 0 or open the season kind of game. What are your thoughts on that? Because right now it has its own individual weekend, obviously.
Which is something that happened a long time ago. You know what's really ironic, Patrick, is my predecessor, Mike Oresco, I'm sure you talked to plenty. Mike, when he was an executive at CBS, was the architect of that. Figuring out how to move the game and get it isolated so they had a protected date to be able to showcase Army-Navy. And what's been the byproduct of that? 10 million viewers a year.
Right.
Extending their CBS deal. Like, the thing that everybody needs to understand is the Army-Navy game is not an asset that the American Conference controls. And while Army and Navy play in this conference in football, the Army-Navy game is a property of Army and Navy that they work on together. As it relates to the future, I think that's a decision you'd have to ask them. But I think that where it's been positioned and how it's been isolated and the showcase it's become it's really got deep roots. And week 0, and this is just my personal opinion with no knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening under any circumstance. I don't see that happening. And I also think when you have a broadcast partner like a CBS who has been like not only your partner, but more like your family on that game for years and has made a significant investment in the future for the next 10 years. And a lot of it has to do with the success it has on that particular date. The date thing is something that requires a lot of people and a lot of thought leadership.
Yeah. We're speaking to Tim Pernetti, conference commissioner for the American in his first year. We're headlong into basketball season now. Having seen North Texas in person a week or so ago, was really impressed with that team. And, I'm a big eye test guy in that sense. They're a tournament quality team. Now, they would, it appears, have to win the conference tournament to get in. How do you get the league? Because Memphis has been fantastic this year. And I think unlike in years past, their resume is strong enough where if they were not to win the conference tournament, they would get an at-large and be comfortably in. So how do you get it to where it is a multi-bid league again?
I think it's a simple ingredient, and it's probably easy for me to say since I'm new. We have to do better in non-conference play. And when I say that, I don't mean win the games. We have to schedule smarter in the non-conference and then perform. And, it's interesting. We do have standards that I inherited for scheduling, in men's and women's basketball, but I don't think the league has been disciplined about sticking to those standards. And at times it costs us in the postseason. So I think the key to this is having the guts to schedule non-conference. And by the way, a lot of this has to do with hey, we want more home games. So we're going to, bring a team in and maybe spend some money to bring them in. What I've told our coaches is it's not so much about having the guts to play, a bigger, badder team, but you got to go on the road. Go on the road against some of these teams. Let's up our ante in non-conference play in terms of scheduling and performance, because I think if we do that, then we achieve the kind of postseason access that this conference has been used to, right? And you mentioned it. Like the league has, like we already got a logjam at the top of the league, which I love. I was in Philly last week and saw the Memphis game. And, Memphis, I mean, they're exceptionally good. And Temple's gritty. And it was just a terrific matchup with a lot of people. And I leaned over to Arthur Johnson, the Temple AD, and said, we're on national television right now on a Thursday night. Like, what a showcase for the league. But UAB, everybody was like, well, that was a one-year thing, but look what's gone on. Like, they had a little bit of a slow start, but now they're playing really, really well. And you're talking about North Texas, but a lot of people are not talking about them.
Right.
I'm actually going up there tonight for the Temple game. That is an excellent basketball team and a physical basketball team. Like what Coach Hodge is doing there is sort of like a little bit of a flashback to sort of like old school basketball. So, we've already got a 4-team logjam with, by the way, slow start, but Temple's roaring back, and slow start in South Florida's roaring back. So I think it's going to be an interesting stretch run here up until our conference tournament in March.
And ECU will have South Florida Saturday. Pirates have won 2 in a row in dramatic fashion on the road. Those were those were exciting games. Let me ask you about the conference tournament. Last year in Fort Worth, what are your thoughts on where that will wind up, and what would be your druthers as to where the conference tournament should be played?
Yeah, and briefly you mentioned East Carolina naturally because of the show.
Sure.
And that's another one. Like I wouldn't want to play them right now. The way they're playing, and they're figuring out a way. Like the sign of good teams is, can they figure out a way to win in the last 3 minutes of the game? And you're seeing a lot of that. So I think this log jam is going to get even crazier. The conference tournament in Fort Worth, it's something that, it's been there for years, since I think the conference office moved to Dallas. And when I came in and assessed everything, it was very, very clear to me that Fort Worth's been a great partner, that Dickies Arena has been a great partner, and Matt Holman and the team over there are great. And at the same time, I don't feel like we're at a point as a conference we're playing in a city that's not really a basketball-centric city, and in a venue that's probably much bigger than we need, will give us the ability to deliver on one thing. Like my priority list on the tournament, Patrick, is experience. When I went to Media Day, I talked to all the student athletes from the men's and women's teams over there, and I said, hey, tell me about the tournament. And the common theme was, doesn't feel like a championship. In the city, like even you check into the hotel, there's no floor decals. It doesn't feel like we're there.
Right.
Kind of like you feel when you go to Media Day. And then I watched the broadcasts, and while the broadcast quality with ESPN is great, the atmosphere is not what kids deserve for a conference championship. So we made the decision to move it. We're in the middle of the process right now. We've got half a dozen cities, including a couple outside of our footprint, that are interested in the tournament. And, then the other side of me says, should we think about doing something different? Like, what if we decided that it's a better show for the league to reward the higher seeds in the first and second round and move the games to campuses?
Yeah.
It's going to look a hell of a lot better on TV. It creates great atmospheres for ESPN. It creates excitement on campus. It gives our institutions more opportunities to generate revenue. Like we're just, what I love about the job so far is, and I knew this during the interview process, we have a group that's willing to discuss change and pulling them apart. But we should have a decision or at least some direction by the time we get to our tournament.
Got you. Will you entertain the notion of keeping the men's and women's tournament together, or would they be played separately?
We'll entertain. What we told every city that bid is you can bid on one or you can bid on both. And we've had a little bit of both. The bids that have come in, some cities have bid on both tournaments. Some have bid on one tournament. So, we're going to just take a look at that as we get to the end of the process.
I know you got to go, Commissioner. Thank you so much for the time. We'll talk to you again soon, maybe close to the conference tournament would be a good time to link back up with you, but we appreciate the time greatly.
Anything for you guys. I appreciate you having me, Patrick. Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Tim Pernetti with us there. Some fascinating stuff. We'll react to it. Right now, here is Philip the Ref Pilkington with a 94.3 The Game Sports Update and Pirate Report. Bill?
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in Pirate Athletics, the basketball team won in overtime a thriller last night in Tulsa. That made it 2 in a row by a final score of 85-76. They'll be back in action on Saturday inside Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum at 1 o'clock. You can hear it right here on 94.3 The Game, our sister station 107.9, and the IBX Media app at 12:30. That'll be part of a men's-women's doubleheader. The women will also be playing South Florida at 4 o'clock inside Williams Arena Minges Coliseum. They fell to Temple earlier today, 69-52. The Jets have hired former Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn to be their next head coach. Glenn, this will not be his first stint with the Jets. They drafted him back in the first round in 1994. He also spent time in the organization as a scout. That will do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Then we will have more for you on the other side with myself, the P-Man, and Dom Kosolki.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, Newbern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready? Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
I thought it was interesting, Tim Pernetti talked about, and I don't hate this idea, playing maybe the first two rounds of the conference tournament on campus sites, the higher seed.
Yeah,
I kind of like that idea, actually.
I think it's good for revenue, and I think it's good for the atmosphere. The tough thing, though, just comes down to scheduling. Now, you have to start your conference tournament earlier, and a lot of the conferences that do that are more geographically condensed. So they only have maybe 2 games in between. You think of conferences like,
right.
I believe the Big South is one of them, but I could be wrong. They might be all that. Theirs might all be in Asheville, but there's a few. With ours being so geographically, spread out, that's a lot on the operations staff. If you don't have 3, 4, even 5 days off because you're not able to plan it in advance.
I think you do at least one round and then maybe move everybody or get down to the quarters.
Yeah.
However that would look. Tom Kasolke is with us.
I think we're going to lose.
There's no losing right now. Nobody playing today. We already lost.
Kasolke, do you have any thoughts on any of this, or are you just ready to get out of here?
I think you caught me with the second one. I'm tired, man. I'm ready to get out of here. But it sounds like a good idea if you can fund it and make it happen. I mean, it's a lot of work, but if you can make it happen, let's try it out.
I just think you can't play it anymore I can't see the coaches. The great Cy Seymour says played at Memphis. I can't see the coaches going for that. Because, you basically have given home court advantage to Memphis the whole time. Now, you'll have crowds as long as Memphis is around. But it's not like they're packing them in when Memphis is not playing. So I just think, by virtue of the way the conference is and what it is, you have to figure out a way to play it. I think a smaller venue. Kim McNeil talked a little bit about this, kind of gave her opinion on the coaches show Monday, and talked about doing this maybe at a smaller arena, which is something that the CAA has done. They've taken it to the practice facility that the Wizards use, that they also do WNBA games at, and that kind of thing. And that works out well because you're not having to sell as many tickets. And
is there an arena?
It's still a nice arena. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
I didn't know
you know where they ought
had.
to move it? You know where they should move it? They never would. But they ought to move. It ought to be played in Charlotte. Charlotte is kind of the geographic center of the whole thing, if you kind of think about it.
I feel like Memphis is a little more centered because of the teams out west. But
I played in Charlotte or New. Where the hell are the teams out west?
So here's my
you
one thing.
Need to quit making decisions on the teams out west. Need to actually consider that there are teams in the east.
Yeah, but that's right in the middle of the two. But anyways, so you mentioned the home court advantage. Well, here's the thing about the American Athletic Conference. Right now, there are 3 sports in the entire AAC that there is not a host for the conference championship. Men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball. Okay, softball, soccer, lacrosse, football is all played at somebody's venue.
At the campus site.
Yeah, we played a softball tournament 2 years ago here.
Right.
So
it's going to be played at South Florida this year. Yeah, I got you.
So,
but those sports are a little different. Basketball is the tradition of the conference tournament is you play it at a neutral site.
What was the first ever conference to hold a conference tournament, Patrick?
Was it at the Southern Conference?
No. It was the ACC. Was that played at a neutral site? No.
It was played at Reynolds.
Exactly. Reynolds is not a neutral
site. Yeah, but
site.
it also was 1950-something, Pilk.
Well, the tradition is play it on a home court.
And all the teams at that point were in the Carolinas and Virginia.
Yeah. That is true.
They weren't in
I'm just being a
they weren't in
devil's
different
advocate.
time zones.
I'm being a devil's advocate.
You know what really stinks? And I guess it makes sense. You have no choice. But you know the ACC is not taking 3 teams this year. They're going to take 15 for the conference tournament in basketball.
So here's the thing.
What sense does that make?
So
first of all, you shouldn't have an 18-team conference.
You shouldn't.
Right, I know it's been 15.
So
but then all of a sudden you say, we're going to add
60.
these schools, and so we're just going to stick with 15. No, put everybody in the tournament, give them a chance to get the automatic thing.
I agree, but it's already Sunday. It's already Tuesday through Saturday, and I'm not against 18.
Oh, it's too
Trust
long.
me, I'm not.
It's entirely too long.
But at least make it 16. Like, why you could have another game on the same day without expanding it another day. Why the heck are you not just at least making it 16?
You're not expanding it another day.
You're just no. That's my point. With 16, you're not
just adding games.
With 18, you would have to play a whole nother day.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you can only do 4 in a day.
Right.
Theoretically.
And you got how many do they play now in day one?
So day 1 right now is 3. So to go into 4 would put it to 16, but you go 3, 4, 4, 2, 1. But obviously the 2 and the 1 have to be the last 2 days because, semifinals and finals. You're not playing 2 games in a day for one team.
Right.
But I'm with you. Just don't have 18 in the conference. That's the dumb thing.
Have people play and then skip a day.
Yeah, the Big East used to have 16 teams, and they had 16. All
they
16
have the hacky double bye.
Yeah. Well, we get the ACC's already got the double bye. It's the same format.
Yeah,
just,
which is also absurd. But I'm anxious to see what they will do with the American. I also think they need to add another basketball. I think you need to round it out. I wish we'd had more time with the commissioner. I would have liked to have asked him about that.
What do you guys
think? I think you need to. Of what? Who do they need to add?
Yeah.
Realistically? Who I would add?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking either one of you. Jump in. Somebody
I'm
talk.
trying to think of who.
Charleston Southern. No, not Charleston. College of Charleston. College of Charleston.
I like that.
Because it would be basketball only. They have an NIL, which is bigger than ECU's NIL by a lot. They have a nice arena, and it would be an upgrade for them in their television dollars, because right now they're only getting $11.73 from Flow Sports. So it
really?
would be
I was told it was $11.72. Wow, I didn't realize it was going up a cent this year.
So it's up to $11.73 now. So it would be, and to give you another East Coast team, you could divide play that way. You'd have a basket. That's who I would put in.
Maybe UNCW. I don't know if that's a.
I don't think they have the. I don't think they have the athletic department is not financed.
Yeah, I mean they really only have basketball and baseball.
Yeah, well, it's going to have to be a school that doesn't have football.
Well, yeah.
So, but they do love their basketball down there. I get what you're saying, Patrick. I don't think the athletic department has the budget of the College of Charleston, but man, those fans, they pack it in tight.
I know.
VCU
it would be great if it was what we did, but there's no way the Americans adding a third school to from North Carolina.
You like VCU type into Virginia?
The only thing I would say about VCU is I don't know what their television agreement is with ESPN for the A10.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be that much more money for them to be in the American.
So that's why you want to go to the Colonial instead of the A10 is a big-time conference. And I think they still have like a CBS Sports Network deal in the A10
I mean, they're getting,
too. So
the A10's getting some TV money. I don't think they're getting, obviously, what the American's getting because of the football. But what I'm saying is Wichita State doesn't get what East Carolina gets from the TV deal because Wichita doesn't have football, obviously. But they get something. And that would be a big upgrade from Charleston from the $11.73 or 74 cents they get from Flow.
Yeah.
And so I think that's who I would add. I wish we'd had a chance to ask him about that. I think that would have been an interesting. We'll mark that down when we talk to him at the conference tournament coming up later on in the year. So tomorrow we've got Logan Zone at 5:00. Pilk, is that still going?
I haven't talked to the Big Hen or anybody today. I was over at the arena most of the day, so
yeah.
I've talked to you and Dom.
That's going to be on. We'll be on at 4, and hopefully Coach Logan will take a few minutes to join us. Friday, I think I'm going to be out, guys, so we have to make a decision on how we're going to cover this one thing, and I have some thoughts on that, Pilk. I'll share it with you. The show meeting during the show.
Okay. I'll probably be involved, I imagine.
Yes. Well, either way, whether it's here or there, I'm going to need you at some point. I can't produce, host, and co-host all by myself.
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably end up producing and William goes with you, something like that.
It depends on it
depends on what you do. I mean, how cold's it going to be?
I don't know.
Is it an outside thing?
No, it's an
well, they're going to be outdoors, and I don't know if you're indoors, if it can work outdoors. Because everything's going to be outdoors, is my understanding.
The high Friday is 39.
Put me in here. Okay. I call it. I want it in here.
I would prefer not to be, especially if it gets slick up there, I'd prefer not to be walking around with radio equipment, slipping and sliding.
Yeah, that's true.
Because if it's up on that balcony, they aren't going to scrape the balcony like they
Your generation. You guys.
You're the one calling off.
Yeah.
I've got other things to do. I got a payday. Okay. I got to go get dumb. I'm cash grabbing.
Okay.
I will not apologize for that.
Generation just trying to make extra money, not.
That's all I'm trying to do is make money. Yes, I'm not doing it for the art. That left a long time ago. You're doing it for the art still, Dom.
All right.
We'll see. They beat the passion out of me a long time ago. So I don't have that. But it's interesting. The American is in a precarious spot now with football, which is the driver. It's not to say it's not competitive. It is. I think the Army story was great. Navy had a fantastic year. Memphis is quite good. Tulane's pretty good. But you've got to have – is there a breakout kind of season next year for one of to get the playoff spot?
I think there
out of the G5 like Boise. Yeah, I mean, there has to be. The longer you go without having one in this playoff, the worse it's going to be for you.
And it needs to be one where you're in there because you're in there, not you're in there because no one else is in there. Like Boise was
Right.
in there because they were the number 9 team in the country, not just because other teams were bad. Like you don't want to be, oh, I mean, we were 22 and no one else was ranked. Like you don't want that because, I mean, yeah, it's good
Well,
to
I
get in,
just
it's good
say
to get
that
money. but
typically
doesn't-
that's where that ranking's going to be. It's going to be 15 to 20.
Yeah, but it's still if it's right around the 12 to 15 range, I think you start to see more respect than if you are, oh, we're 24. Liberty's not ranked. Boise's not ranked. UNLV's not ranked. Well, I guess
but
somebody's got to make it.
You're drawing from such a large pool, though. You've got to have some luck like that, Pilk.
Yeah.
You got to have a little.
Oh,
bit
you
of
do.
luck.
You got to have luck. But I'm saying I would still much rather have the team go out there and be like,
yeah, no, you
hey,
got to still win games.
We were 14. We would have been right on the cusp, even if 12 went in. Yeah, I see. Yeah, I gotta get it queued up here, guy. Sorry. All right.
We're gonna hit a break. We'll come back, wrap the show up for everything going on here today. A few more thoughts and news and notes and nuggets. We will come back and wrap it up here on the Patrick Johnson Show.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
This holiday season, get the gift you really want at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Drive a new Corolla, just $229 a month, or a new Tacoma, only $329 a month during the holiday trade-up at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master. Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job. Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Unwrap a new Toyota for the holidays at Greenville Toyota. It's our holiday trade-up. Get a new Camry, $269 a month, or a new RAV4, $329 a month. Trade up and save at Greenville Toyota.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout Eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
ECU basketball back at it on Saturday, and it'll be a 12:30 airtime on 94.3 The Game and 107.9 WNCT as the Pirates and South Florida will match up at 1. The Bulls are playing tonight at Charlotte, and I believe that is on ESPN Plus if you want to check out the Bulls before they come into town. It's obviously been a tough year for them with the passing of their coach before the season, and they have started to put it together and turn it around here as of late. Let's see. Anything else, guys? Pilk, I sent you something. I'm just looking for this article. You mentioned the Jets have hired head coach Terrell Williams, now the new defensive coordinator at New England, reunited with Brable there. He is an ECU guy. He played at ECU football alum. How about that?
There we go. Look at us.
Yeah.
Making our footprint in the NFL. You got him. You got Dwayne Ledford.
Yeah.
Couple coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he's been coaching close to 30 years. He's one of those old school guys. So, all right. Well, thanks to the commissioner, Tim Pernetti, for being with us today. It was great to have him on. Look forward to having him on again soon. I think I'm kicking myself for not asking that question about basketball. Like I said, we were on kind of a tight time window with him. So we got in what we could get in. All right. Thanks, Dom. Dom Kasolke, ladies and gentlemen. Philip the Ref Pilkington. You guys be safe. Everybody be safe out there. Back in the morning on Talk of the Town. And then back here tomorrow, 4 o'clock for the Patrick Johnson Show.